Singing.
Hey.
Yeah, we on a Sistahship.
Come with us, we on a Sistahship.
Yeah, we on a Sistahship. Roll with us, we on a Sistahship. Sistahship, we got it. Now come on, let's talk about it. Sistahship, we got this. Now come on, let's talk about this. Talk about this, talk about that, talk about let's talk about facts. Let's talk about living, talk about giving, talk about let's talk about. We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You roll with me and I roll with ya. We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You roll with me and I roll with ya. Substance, ho, sis.
Hey.
Big change, cause we've been to the. Now it's time to shine like bling. I'm talking about life skills, right wills, love heals.
Spin. Come on,
Can
come on.
to show we understand.
The power of friendship.
Live life on purpose. We don't want to see you hurting. No matter the color, networking.
Hey.
Oh,
Yeah, we on a Sistahship. Come with us, we on a Sistahship. Yeah, we on a Sistahship. Roll with us, we on a Sistahship.
We got this, sisters. You roll with me and I roll with ya.
You roll with me and I roll with ya.
We got this now. Come on, let's talk about
Let's
it.
talk about
Sistahship, we got it. Come on, let's talk about it.
that.
Now, come on, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about.
Now, come on, let's talk about it. We on a Sistahship.
Ship.
We on a Sistahship.
Hey.
Happy Sunday afternoon, y'all. Blessed is Sunday with our Sistahship. What is going on in this room? This is your girl, Stephia, and we are here with the Sistahship. And I'm going to also introduce our host here today. I'm sorry, our guest here today. Maybe that means something. Say it. I'm one of your hosts. Our guest today as well, who'll be talking about We Share Corp. She runs We Share Corp. It's an amazing organization. We'll get into that in a moment. While we are here, let's introduce our Sistahship. And I'm so happy to finally be in the room with one of our queenagers, Marcy Rabinowitz. How you doing? I didn't want to say it wrong.
I knew that.
How you doing, Marcy?
Hanging in for an old teenager.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And let me tell you something. All behind the scenes, we can't say anything without our one and only Tiffany Copeland.
Hey. We on a Sistahship.
We on a Sistahship.
Brought together an amazing group of women.
Absolutely.
And put together also the brothership.
Yes.
And there is more to come.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
future.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
The future of our children. We'll talk about that next generation.
Mhm.
With that said, my girl, Lady Wisdom.
In the building.
In the building. So we are on a Sistahship in this room. You know, it's funny. If you're not seeing it, check out all the colors in this room and check out what's the consistent theme. It is blue.
That's right.
We did not call one another to tell each other what we were wearing, nor the colors we were wearing, nor did we tell our guests what we were wearing today, and we're all wearing blue, so that's got to mean something. That is
We are all on the same vibe.
We're all on the same vibe in this room.
That's
So,
right.
today's topic really is going to be pretty much an extension of last week's show when we were discussing interracial, interethnic relationships, marriages, and now we want to talk about also the next generation. So I think our focus was very small, and we want to make sure that we expand that because again,
It's such a vast area.
it's just a vast area to get into. But before we go there, we're going to talk to Melissa Reed, who is the CEO of We Share Corp in East Stroudsburg. We're so happy to have you on board.
Proud to be a part of this.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I can't tell you, like, the Sistahship, we love being with Melissa Reed and We Share Corp because of all that they're doing for the community. So let's talk about We Share Corp.
Okay, so thank you guys for having me on the show. Again, it is a blessing to be here. I'm very happy to share time with you guys and go over things that We Share Corp is doing for the community. We Share Corp, again, is a community-based organization. We are driven to be your one-stop shop for all of your needs in the community, from food to clothing to furniture, life coaching to legal services, you name it. We're trying to put that in place to have it available for everyone to utilize in our community. We are a self-sustaining organization, which means that we generate our own revenue so we can be able to provide consistent services. Long after I'm here and gone, they'll be keep going and be implemented. Yeah.
Generational wealth, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep, that's what we're doing. So I didn't let you guys know what we did recently for one of our young volunteers, the young man who was in trouble. He had gotten pulled over. He didn't know he had warrants for his arrest. He had a really bad situation where he had 4 different things hanging over his head. And we got involved and we were able to get him exonerated of everything. And yeah, with that being said, we're just a driving force to our young men and our youth to try to get them on the right page. He came to us and he was like, he didn't know what to do, how to begin, where to go. He didn't even know who to talk to. He got these things when he was younger, when he was a lot younger. Now he's 18. So he didn't have anybody to turn to or anything like
Even
that.
18 is young.
Yeah, even 18 is young, right? And he didn't know that these things were hanging over his head. So he just happened to get pulled over. But the officer that did pull him over didn't arrest him. They told him, you need to get this taken care of. We're going to lock you up this time, but you got to go turn yourself in. And we went with him to assist him in getting everything cleared up. And yeah, so I just want to put out there that if you guys, young youth out there that need that support, come on down to We Share because we have the liaisons, we have people that can assist you with getting things taken care of, exonerated, and removed off your records if you're not facing these kind of charges.
And
And
these young
things.
people also give back.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they also give back by volunteering, which we tell them, we told the judge that he is a volunteer, he's been helping out, he's been doing his thing, we've got him on the right track. He's in school, he's going to be graduating soon. So they took that into consideration and they were able to have those things expunged.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Your location, 746 Milford Road, East Stroudsburg, for anybody who's looking for the We Share Corp location. And phone number, I have 570-634-0538, but I know there's other phone numbers available as well. You can be found on all social media platforms.
Yeah.
Your website. So just let us know kind of the information, and then let's get into because you've done some amazing things thus far since the grand opening, and I want to talk about the grand opening as well as what you have coming up.
Okay. So we completed our grand opening, which was really nice. We had a lot of support. Sistahship was there. We had it was an amazing time for us and the community as well. Just opening up our doors and allowing everybody to know we're here to make the community a better place and to bring people together. So since then we've done our book bag drive, which was real success.
Really
Really
nice. I have to say it was really nice.
Yeah.
We all showed up for that event and came out. There were a lot of children there. They had hot dogs and
We had
hamburgers and
music,
haircuts. It was
Yeah.
really a nice event for the kids, and everybody came with their book bags. We didn't have a book bag left when they.
No, we had we had everyone pre-registered. We had about a total of 85 people that pre-registered, and then we still had stragglers that came in after that. So we had about 95 book bags given out in total. But then we had we had some more supplies, so we teamed up with Willie's. He had a Willie's book bag drive at South High School. We went over there. We gave out book bags to them and supplies that they needed for the other kids that were coming out. So.
What I thought was amazing about the book bag drive is that the pre-registered, if they gave you specific colors or whatever, like you catered to what they wanted, not just what they, you were able to cater to what they wanted as well.
Yeah.
As far as colors and things of that nature, which was
And
awesome.
that's important for children's self-esteem.
Exactly. And that was one of our key things is that if we're going to do a book bag drive, I don't just want to give a book bag to a kid and you walk down with this, in the hallway. We got to be able to put ourselves in their shoes. And I wanted to make sure that we were hitting colors and any special requests for the kids so we can make it special for them. And they can feel like a normal kid walking down the hallway. They don't have to feel like they got this from some charity organization. So that was a big key point of the whole thing. And I'm happy that we were able to actually get things to kids that they actually needed. We packed every book bag with all of the school supplies that they needed from each grade going all the way up to the 12th grade. So it was amazing to be able to do that. And I do want to thank the vendors and the staff that came out to do an amazing job with supporting us. I want to thank Jane. I want to thank Leslie. I want to thank Skylar, Polini, the vendors, Jason Satori Cuts, who came out and did the free haircuts for the children.
Awesome.
That was nice.
Yeah. We had McDonald's donate stuff. We had Wendy's donate certificates for the kids. We had Jerry's Ice Cream. He was another person that gave us certificates for the kids to get free ice cream. So we put those things in each of the kids' bags. So they went with little gifts and stuff like that. We had Salvation Army donated the food for the kids to have the barbecue. We had Biggie's Pizza, who came and brought pies of pizza for the kids too, in case they didn't want hot dogs and donuts and burgers. Want to also thank Diamond Cuts for donating. They gave us a sponsor. What is it called? They gave us cards for the kids. Yeah, so when the kids that came that weren't able to get haircuts, we were able to give them a gift certificate to go to get their haircut. They just have to schedule it
Far
out.
cry from the book bag giveaway.
Yeah.
From charity organizations.
Right.
You're
Trying to put it together so it's more thoughtful and meaningful and more direct for the kids than just throwing things at them.
Yeah.
And it's not incomplete. We also wanted to thank Walmart. They donated things, gift cards and stuff. Five Below, another one, donated book bags.
Nice.
We had
It's definitely a community thing.
Absolutely.
we got a
Throwing it
lot of
together.
strong people
Absolutely.
together. We had the DJ Ed, who was the DJ for the event. He was there. He did his thing, donating his time to us to help with the music. We had the Delta, the girls that came out and they packed all the bags for us and put all those things together with a lot of.
I saw it. All that packing that was going on.
Yeah, the Deltas.
And
I
listen,
really want to thank
I
them.
woke up and they had, what was it, paper towels, like
Yeah.
40 paper towels.
Everywhere.
And I said,
Yeah.
"What all these paper towels?" And his book bag was getting paper towels.
Paper towels.
And hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer,
sanitizers,
the
masks.
whole works, whatever they needed on their list, we were making sure they had. I also wanted to thank the community church that donated the chairs and tables. Weiss, they also donated gift cards for kids.
Yeah.
Justin, who came out he was the guitarist who was playing music for the kids and teaching them how to
Oh, I missed that.
do. Yeah,
Was
that
that
was
the
earlier
first
in
thing?
the
Okay.
day.
Yeah, well, I was
Yeah.
about to say.
I missed that.
We missed that
Yeah,
one.
and lo and behold, last but not least, Johnny, who cooked the food for us on the
Listen,
on the
I was
grill.
bugging John because I said, "Listen, I need a burger without the bread."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay." So I had me a couple burgers without the bread. Right now I'm on and off of keto.
Oh.
But September 9th, I'll be really going back into keto. But this summer I've been enjoying myself. So Johnny saw me a couple times. Give me a hot hamburger.
Yeah.
Give me a hot dog. No bread. We good.
I know, he's hilarious. But thank you, Johnny, for giving your time into this whole thing. We appreciate it. I just want to thank everybody. It was a great success. And
Yeah.
I hope next time to team up with, because we were running into other people having events. And I think next time for next year, we're going to target everyone in the community to try to put it together.
A collaborative
collaboration,
one would be
Right,
really nice.
a really
Calendar.
big one where we're getting pre-registered kids, we're knowing what they need, match their colors, their favorite character or whatever the case may be, and give out book bags in that way, so that way we're not, the community in one whole is not scattered, like,
Right.
they got this going on, no one
Right.
even knew that this was happening over there or over there, so I'm trying to put that together too for next year.
Yeah.
I want to say real quick that a lot of people have book bag drives. A
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
people have
Yeah.
book bag drives. And I think it would be great to have one big initiative to do it so that everybody can come out, because I did notice with some of them, like one was over here and one was
Yeah.
over here.
Well,
so
you have
people
to
were
check
kinda
the
yeah.
geographic,
Mm-hmm.
needs here in our community. We're so spread out that, yes, a collaborative calendar would probably be nice, but it still is gonna have to be at different sites.
Oh, yeah,
locations.
Right.
Yeah, we can
Geographically,
definitely
but you're
do
right.
that.
But you're right, but if they're not on top of each other,
Right.
you know,
And it's a little
that's a
bit
thing.
more conform, because some of the book bag drives, like if you go to one, they didn't have, like they had a book bag, they didn't have this supply. They weren't
Yeah.
packed, they weren't,
Yeah.
things
But-
like that.
But all in all, we are thankful to the community for
absolutely.
stepping up,
Yeah.
no matter where they had it. Yours
Mhm.
just catered a little bit more.
Right.
It was a little bit more tailored to the person that registered.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas the other places, yours was a week prior to theirs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so the other ones that did have events where they was giving back to the community, they didn't cater to them, but there's a lot of kids that didn't look for catering. They just kind of like looked
Give
for
us
the
a
need.
need. Yeah.
Unfortunately, they couldn't do the same thing. You had a little bit,
But the
you was a little bit ahead of
personalization
it.
that Melissa put in is very, very important. Like I said earlier, for the child's self-esteem. Getting a book bag, is wonderful. Getting sneakers is wonderful, and things like that. But getting something that, in addition to what you need, that you're thrilled about having.
Absolutely agree
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah,
I
right.
agree,
Gives
but
it
we don't
something
want to. We
special.
don't want.
Well, we're not going to
I don't-
diminish all the
right,
any of
right.
the other
Oh,
ones.
no,
absolutely.
No,
So that's-
definitely not. Not to
No,
mention
and
anybody's
that's all I
other
was just saying.
Yeah,
We don't
no,
want
no,
to
no.
diminish
I
what
want
they
to
had,
just bring
because
it together.
especially
you
with the economy and the way we are,
Mhm.
COVID has wrecked area.
Yeah.
And so a lot of parents haven't been able to. So I greatly
Yeah.
appreciate your program and all that you are doing and have done and will do.
Which is where we
Yes.
where we want to go
Yes.
next, because you've got stuff coming up that we want to make sure we get in before we get into
Yeah.
the topic of the day. So let's talk about what's next.
So,
We're excited.
currently we have the Food Truck Friday. So we're getting all of our vendor trucks that are around in the area. We're allowing them to park their vehicle on our property and they can sell their food to people in Stroudsburg area, because a lot of them don't know that these vendors exist. And they have online where you can order the food and stuff like that. So I wanted to expand their directory and have them be able to come to Stroudsburg now and be able to.
Nice.
So
East.
where are they coming from? Are they
Stroudsburg.
coming from East
So
Stroudsburg,
they're
or
coming from East Stroudsburg. They're normally
city
parked at the flea market over there,
Okay,
but they're gonna be coming now over into borderline East Stroudsburg.
Still East Stroudsburg.
Right, still East Stroudsburg, but more in town,
okay,
closer to town.
Yes.
nice.
Yeah. So we're giving them that opportunity every Friday to come and do that. They'll set up shop until 11 p.m. Giving food
Wow.
out to people.
And that's gonna be
Selling.
every Friday.
Selling food, not
Selling,
giving it
not
out.
giving,
Yeah,
selling every
selling.
Friday.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
every Friday.
Look, I got excited
Until the
for
snow.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Giving
No,
away
even
food.
during the snow too, because
Are they
you can
giving away
donate
food or
to
something?
No. They're
what is
selling
it called?
food.
The food plate. What is it called? Where you can order the
To
food.
go.
DoorDash
To
or
go.
Go DoorDash.
DoorDash.
and stuff.
Oh,
They have
DoorDash.
that. Yeah, they have
With
that.
the food? With
Yeah,
the food?
with the food trucks, and they're out there during the winter. They're sitting there, but they're in the flea market over there.
That would be kind of nice, because I'm
Yeah.
guilty. I rarely go to the flea market.
Right.
And they have a lot of different food that you can try, and not everything's so like used to just Wendy's and all these other.
Right.
They
Wonderful.
have a lot of different varieties. So
Right.
that's one thing that's going on. That starts on the 13th, Friday. So look out for that. You guys stop by, spread the word so that the vendors can, sell their food and get food out to people that might want to change what they're eating once in a while. We also have the vendor market event coming up on October 23rd. That will be from 11 to 3. Sistahship and I are working together to put that together.
Is that the Halloween event?
And that's the
That's the
Halloween.
Halloween
That's the, yeah, the
event.
Halloween is in
Party
the
and the-
afternoon, and the
Right.
vendor event is in the morning.
Right.
So we're having also a Halloween bash for children in the area and
So that's gonna be
adults to
different.
come. So yeah, that will be for
The trunk or
12 up to
treat.
6. It's a trunk or treat slash bash.
Oh,
So
this
you
is
gotta
the
come with
shit?
your you gotta come with your costume.
Costume.
We're gonna have-
Costumes,
We're gonna have
absolutely.
raffles. We're gonna have prizes, games for the best costume and everything. With everybody dressed up and coming down to have fun. We're gonna
Everybody
have
will leave
music,
with something in
food.
their bag.
Yeah, everybody's gonna
Nice.
leave with something. There'll be candy, all of that stuff for kids. We
October
also-
23rd, right?
October
October
23rd.
23rd,
So everybody
Saturday.
mark your calendars for October 23rd.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking for vendors.
Yeah.
We're also going to be looking for the children to come down
Right.
and just have a
Have
good old
a
time.
good old
DJ and
Yeah,
Now, the
Dancing.
vendor event is 11 to 3.
yeah,
And then the party starts
from 4 to 6.
from 4 to 6. So if you are a vendor who's interested, reach out to Tiffany Co. or Stephania.
Yeah.
Reach out to us, and definitely for the kids. Are you having signups, or people can?
Oh no, they can come.
They could just
Yeah,
come.
that's
They don't have
open
to sign up.
public. Yeah, they
Awesome.
don't have to sign up.
Perfect.
Get there early because candy
Parking.
will go.
And parking
And
spots.
parking spots for people. We'll have available parking for people if you want to come down. So yeah, please come on down for that event. We also have Authors Corner. We're getting all of our local authors, other
Jane.
authors, any authors that want to come down
Jane.
on October 2nd, which is Saturday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. We're also, because of Domestic Violence Month, we're doing a special little thing for domestic violence
Nice.
awareness. So we are looking for authors who would like to do meet and greet, book sign, all that good stuff, and we're going to be advertising that, making sure it's out there to everyone, so we can get a nice crowd coming down.
definitely
We want to make sure that the authors are able to do. They're going to do 2 to 3 minute announcements about their book, speech about what's going on with them, how they came to their book, and all that good stuff. Maybe even a reading or so.
That's awesome.
So that event's going to be happening on that day, Saturday, October 2nd from 2 p.m. to 6. We also, we're putting together a coat drive, which will begin from October 1st through January 1st. We found out there happens to be a lot of homeless people, homeless camps, actually, like tent city camps in our area, which I did not have an idea that was happening here in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. So we're trying to start a big initiative to reach out to those individuals, get them coats, blankets, see if we can even get them out of tents into homes, get sponsored families to sponsor them while they're going through their whole trials and stuff like that. So we have the coat drive going on. That will be from October 1st through January 1st. We also have a toy drive, which will be starting from October. Oh, sorry. The toy drive starts September 13th. We're starting it early because we're trying to put. We're getting in place. Kids are going to be registering. They're going to be making a list of their things that they would like to have for the holidays. So we're trying to be able to honor those requests that come in and get them the actual things that they would like to have. So that's why we're starting it in advance, and we're reaching out to people, getting lists of things for kids that need, and trying to surprise them with those things.
When are they actually going to be receiving those?
They'll be getting them on
Is
that
that
will
right
be
before Christmas?
December 18th and
Got it.
December 19th.
No, that I actually like, and I'll tell you why. Because I was watching the news and I'm hearing that there is going to be a shortage
of toys
of
and
toys
things
and things
because
for
of the
kids.
logistics and everything.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with COVID.
Yes,
Yep.
That's why we're starting early.
Perfect.
for it. Yeah.
Perfect. People need to plan in advance, because
Mhm.
definitely
Yeah.
families out there, even if you are shopping for the holiday, shop now, because
Yeah.
there is definitely going to be a shortage, and you want to do as much as you
Yeah.
can.
And you don't even know what's going on with the COVID lock, if they
Right.
lock things down again or
Okay.
whatever. So
Yep.
we're
Right.
just trying to get ahead of everything that's going on. The other thing that we have going on is we're getting together with local supermarkets and other United Way and a couple other entities to get gift cards for Thanksgiving for dinner.
Nice.
For
Nice.
families in need, and we'll be giving those out on November 20th and November 21st, which is Saturday and Sunday.
Nice.
And then last but not least, Haiti, as you all know, has been going through some terrible times.
Yeah.
So they just had the earthquake. We're actually reaching out with United Way and with a couple of other entities getting water, food, clothing.
Drink water.
Yeah. They don't have any. They're literally over there like without
They
anything.
struggle
So,
every, I mean,
And one after the other
Yes.
after the other.
they're just,
yes.
yeah.
So we're putting together that, and we're accepting donations now for that to send over there to them.
Nice.
So we're hoping the community can come together, and I know you guys got some money. Send it over.
So with that said, I mean, you know, when we think about community, right, and we think about outreach programs and things of that nature, the one thing that, you know, again, in your We Share is involved in so many different things, right, to help out the community and help those in need, and also provide services. So you are also a sponsor of the Sistahship, so we're very appreciative of being a sponsor of the Sistahship. We do love everything you're doing. This is definitely a need in the community.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate the fact that you are so engaged and so giving and committed to the community. And I'm hoping that more people come out and actually come to We Share Corp, understand what you guys are really doing, and kind of help out as well. Because again, we all have to come together at some point, right? This is, you know, we talk about human race, right? I mean, we are
That's
one race, we are one people. At the end of the day, we all bleed the same. We have the same hearts, spirits, minds.
That's why the name of the corporation is We
We
Share.
share, right? That's
Yeah.
the whole intent, is sharing.
Yeah.
Sharing is caring.
Yes.
And coming together. So if you can all please reach out to We Share Corp, please reach out to Melissa. You know, she's got a lot going on. You all heard everything that's coming up. It would be a great thing to do, to come out and help out. And if you need services, please
Yes.
reach out to We Share
And
Corp.
I know we need to get to the topic,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
sometimes to hear what's going on in the community,
Yeah,
you need to do that a little
Absolutely.
bit longer than necessary, so that everybody knows what's going on in the community. But I also wanted to say, wow, before we get into the topic,
yeah.
we have Joan, who has been an
Yes.
Integral asset.
of the Sistahship show
yes.
for years, who is also working closely
Yes.
with We Share.
Yes.
And I know she's been volunteering, she's been going over there
Yes.
helping. So we
Joan,
just
come
want
here
to
and
say
let
thank
everybody
you.
see.
Joan, you
who-
come right on over here.
We're
and
gonna
let us
show
see
you who Joan is. So
Joan
when you
is.
see
So
her,
when
you hug
see
her.
you know, give her a big hug. She's always out there. Yep.
We love Joan. She is
Yeah.
so supportive of the
Yes, she
Sistahship.
is.
She's
And
supportive of
We
We
Share.
Share.
Yes.
Oh my
She is
God.
doing her thing. She is
An angel.
amazing.
An
She
angel.
is
right.
amazing. I can't even express how happy I am to have her on our team. We gave her an official title at our company.
All right.
So she
Congratulations.
is our
Congratulations.
community liaison. She's our
Nice.
senior community liaison.
Absolutely.
And,
Wonderful.
And, she's going out there. You
Teenage
will see
wisdom.
her. She
Mhm.
knocks at your door. She will be there trying to put together things for the community on behalf of our company. So I want to thank you, because I love you. You are amazing, and she's just a nice person. You have no idea. She touches me all the time.
Joan, you deserve all of that and
That's
then
what
some.
humanitarianism
That's what it is.
all
Yeah.
about.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for everything you do. And thank you for being such a big supporter of the Sistahship too.
Oh,
Yeah, we love you.
I love this.
She's on every show. She watches us from the room.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's
She tells me about what's going on the show. She gives me the whole.
Oh, because she don't stay up, you know, she's just like, oh, somebody
Yeah.
gotta keep her in order. Yeah.
Yeah. She tells me, she's like, this is what happened. You need to watch it.
Make sure you get it all so you
Yeah.
don't miss nothing.
That's
Yeah.
right. So with that said, listen to Joan. Watch every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Sistahship.
Yeah.
And come on down to We Share.
And come on down,
Yeah.
We Share.
Let us help you. We're here to help you. We're here to help the community. We are in your corner. We're in the public's corner. We want to bring our people together. We want to unify people in the right way and get people to care about one another.
Stronger together.
Stronger
Stronger
together.
together.
Always,
Yes.
always.
So please don't be afraid. Come down. Care if you're butt naked. You need clothes. Come to the office. Come.
What's my line? Bling, but naked on Main, right? Naked on
Believe
Main.
it, like it, naked on me.
Naked on Main.
much,
Thank
Joan.
you so
So
much.
with that said, I think you just led us really into the
The
discussion
topic.
that we really wanted to have today, right? So it
Absolutely.
is about community, it's about togetherness, it's about kind of just breaking down the barriers that we have, that this country has been known to create.
Finding
and-
the commonality.
Exactly. Instead of the
Barriers.
barriers and the difference. Yes, we have amazing differences. We can all learn from one another, regardless of who we are, what culture, what race, what creed, whatever. But at the same token, we need to also understand that we are the human race. We are one people if we stop with the barriers that we put in place. And again, this came from the history of this country, unfortunately. We can't change what occurred, but we can look to better ourselves and better
And
everyone
for the next
for the next generation, which is,
Absolutely.
you know, what we are going to be speaking to today. I just wanted to give just a couple stats, because I know in the last conversation we focused specifically on Black-white relationships, but I want to talk about when we speak about interracial and interethnic relationships, marriages. Let's say marriages. It's obviously the percentage is much higher when you think about relationships in general. 10%, and this is a 2016 census study, 10% of our country, U.S., is married, interracial, interethnic. Just 10%. Small percentage when you look at the holistic picture. Of that, 8% were in a mixed nativity marriage, whereas one spouse was of a foreign land. There's 7 types, and it's interesting how these are classified. There's 7 types of interracial, interethnic married couple combinations. And I'll focus on the 80% because, again, when we really talk about diversity, we need to really put stats to what you see out there in the world.
Absolutely.
So about 40%, now this is interesting because this has changed from before 2000.
Yeah.
Is that 40% are white with Hispanic, any race, okay? Where it used to be Asian and white was 42% prior to the 2000 in the 1990s.
Okay.
16% are multi-races, where one spouse is multiracial. 14% are white Asian, and 8% are white Black, non-Hispanic. And then when we talk about the adults and multiracial adults, and this was based on a 2015 PEW Pew study, of the 80%, 50% are white and American Indian, 12% are Black and American Indian, 11% are multiracial Hispanic, and 11% are Black and white. Now, again, when you look at those numbers, those percentages, you're like, well, the marriage is one piece of it. When we talk about people who are not married, you're still having children out there, right? So you're going to have biracial or interracial children or interethnic children. So again, it's about focusing on the diverse cultures of our society and how we help our next generation to understand that although there's a history here that we need to be cognizant of, how do we then move forward as a country? And what are some of the things that we can do to make sure that we're open dialogue with our children, with our neighbors, with our friends? Because it's difficult.
The first place to start, like you said, is with our children. As far as that goes, children are taught to see clearly with uncolored eyes. And that's a big thing. If you start your children off right in any kind of a program or anything with now television programs, that are specifically geared towards that ideology, they'll grow up understanding that humans are humans, regardless of what their external appearance might be. And that's what's important. Television plays a big role in this now, as far as that goes. I have, a very young grandchild, and when my 10-year-old granddaughter was growing up, you know, I watched how Sesame Street and other TV shows evolve to have more diverse characters. I've watched television commercials now have interracial families on television
Yeah.
commercials, and LGBTQ
Yes.
commercials are now part of a big trend now in America. And that's where we have to continue to go as far as that goes. Our children need to be taught that everyone is in fact a human being to be regarded as such.
So you're right, we do need to teach our children, but when you come in a situation where the parents are still not that accepting
Still
yet,
behind.
still behind the times, it's hard. Although children are, in some cases, they're friends, you know, people that they interact with, if they're in a very diverse area. But again, I talked about it last time, going back home. I might be in a predominantly white neighborhood, predominantly Black, Hispanic, whatever have you, and what the school system is diverse. How do we speak to the parents and help to bridge that gap?
When the children bring their friends home, the parents have to set examples. Children are now teaching their parents.
Yeah.
Being the terminology that we had always used, again, 30 years ago, being a transracial family, I was always very particular about making sure that my children had a complete diverse, group of friends. I never specifically noted anybody that was Asian or was Black or was white or was Christian or was Jewish or was Muslim or something like that. My home, because here in this county, being a Jewish family is still a minority here in this county. So my children brought many of their friends to our home for Hanukkah. They're now 31 and 32, and we still have adults, 32-year-old adults who still come to our home for Hanukkah, remembering when they came when they were little children. I never emphasized at all that my children were of a different ethnic background. What I did was I tried to educate them on the religious niceties and some of the different foods and different things that we did. And then other families from other ethnic backgrounds did the same thing in school. So it became a learning process for the children who then brought it home to their parents. Most of the time, children know how their parents feel, and they're very sensitive. And a child will not bring home a friend who may be victimized or subject to any kind of negativity from the parents. And children are now teaching their parents. And our generation of parents, or your generation of parents, because I'm older than all of you, kind of thing, are seeing a new way, are really seeing a new way. The music is a big thing. Children now don't see music as identified as either Black music or white music. It's country music, it's rap music, it's hip hop. That's it,
Yes, hip hop is. I will say hip hop is not dead.
And things like that. So what's happening is that there becomes a blending of all of these, and it crosses, and it's like waves going into each other, and there's nothing that's separated. Therefore, there's nothing that should be segregated, and that's where we're at with all of this. Certainly in schools, there used to be, for example, they used to have special needs children in their own school, in their own classroom, in their own program. Now there's inclusion. So special needs children are included in education across the board, generalized. So it's not like a child is going to be pointed to and say, you can't come in my class because there's something different about you. And that's a wonderful thing. And that's where, again, we still need to start with our children.
It's when we think about hate is within your own. Could be in your own race, could be in your own culture. I laugh because my parents, come from Italy. I'm a first generation American. And there was always the North and the South.
Mhm.
It was never about race, right? It was always about just the culture, the differences in people. Sherry, it's. I remember a conversation the last show we had. We talked about your children, and where your mother came from, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was England, right? Talk about kind of your getting brought up the way you were. Your mother came here to the States, obviously from England, correct? So how was your upbringing? Because I know you talked about where you came from and things of that nature. What's home to you, and how do you view the whole perspective?
My mother comes from England, but my father's American. And my mom dealt with a lot because she's interracial.
Yeah.
So back in the 40s, they had what they call a whole thing in Europe, little brown babies. So you could pull an article up and you would hear about all the wartime babies that was created during that time. My mom happened to be one of them. Her mother's family disowned the mom, told her that they would completely disown her if she kept my mother. So
Do you know that the black air pilots, they were called night flyers. They were referred to as night flyers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's a lot of history that we don't know.
So, I mean, but and as much as it is, we also talked about how when she came here, she had a rough time because my mom happens to be like me, or was, God rest her soul. She was like I am. My mom has straight hair. It was soft. But I think a lot of times people don't realize with multiracial, you could be in a place where sometimes you're not accepted on either side.
Right.
Whatever your ethnicity is at that time, because it's not always a black and white issue.
Right.
But you have cultures that believe in sticking to their own. My mom dealt with that. She, it was kind of difficult because my father, he said that he was fully African American, and it isn't so. I did the DNA testing, the ancestry thing, and I found out I'm a little bit of more than just Caucasian and African American. So I don't do a whole lot of talking about me, but I know what it's like to be interracial. I know what it's like to feel
Left out or not included. It's
Yeah.
a little bit of different. It's different. When you're left out is one thing. When you're not included, it's a nuance, but it's still a feeling as far as that goes.
So for my kids, their father happens to be African American and Native American. And so every time when you see my kids, they have an exotic look. So the first thing people want to know is, what are they? And I tell my kids, you tell them you're human.
I love that.
You're human.
I love that. I love that.
Like, what difference does it make? My makeup is who I am. So prior to the show, we was having a conversation, and in the conversation, what we have to realize is people are people at the end of the day.
All the time.
Right.
And so with that being said, people think that it's always a black or white issue. Well, if you look at the news now, it's the vaccinated against the unvaccinated.
Yeah.
So what they don't realize is that the media is the ones that's building up the 1%, the green people that live in that 1% of the nation. It's all about the money for them.
Yes, it is.
It's all about the money. They're going to sell their products, how they sell them. They're going to divide where they can divide, because they say to divide is to conquer.
Right.
And so right now, the goal is to divide us one way or the other. My children, when my children were growing up, I've said it on a couple other shows, I didn't raise my kids to see you as a white person or a black person. I I told them to identify you by maybe what you were wearing. Oh, the lady over there with the glasses.
Mhm.
Which glasses? The red glasses, Mom? The girl with the red hair? And when my kids were growing up, they grew up in school here, and the kids would come home, and they'd be like, "Do you know Michael Knight?" It's like, wait, what? But the children called their friends by their full names.
Mhm.
And I did not get it for a long time. You know, they would come in and they'd be like, that's how they would identify. But my kids didn't come in and say, well, you know, the one that's that color or that color. It's actually the children that teach you. You ever watch your kids when they're in the
Exactly what I
store? I used to take my children in the store. Well, pre-COVID, of course. Well, pre-COVID. But you would take your children into a department store. And whatever you were doing, if you had your kids sit on the side, they would make friends.
Always.
And that was what they identified them
Yes.
as, their friends.
Yes.
And they would sit and they would play. And it wasn't until the adults got involved that the separation
Separation
came.
start. Yes.
So it's really definitely about the children teaching.
Yep.
The generation that followed, my children's generation, they didn't see, again, they were calling each other by full names,
Mhm.
but they didn't see the differences in colors until it was brought to their attention.
Correct.
They knew about it.
Right.
They knew it existed.
Mhm.
They knew that there was a divide in the country,
But it had no effect on them.
but it didn't bother them.
Mhm.
It wasn't until the adults got involved.
Mhm.
Now, ignorance is bliss in the world today.
Mhm.
And the one thing that we don't have to do is advocate for it. We don't have to continue with it. Your choices are your choices.
Right.
You don't get to decide who you love. And you don't teach a child not to like somebody based on an ethnicity that they have no control over. My granddaughter is 4. And my granddaughter came to me one day. She was sitting on my lap. She grabbed my watch. She hit my watch button. She said, Siri, how do you say eyes in Spanish? And it said it and she repeated it. And everything she wanted, she hit my watch to get Siri to tell her. But she told me, Grandma, I want to learn Spanish and French. She's 4. Like, I got a 4-year-old granddaughter that's sitting here deciding she wants to learn different languages.
Be able to
Right.
communicate.
Right.
Right.
I couldn't figure out how huge that was until she sat with me and we listened to her saying the colors. She's counting when now she's at 15. She wants to learn the days of the weeks, the months. And then she's saying, Grandma, how do you say tree? She said, now I have to say it in French too. So she kept saying, I went into the store with her to Target and they have like an English, Spanish word card thing. And she said, I don't want to speak English. I need to learn Spanish. I said, well, you speak English now. She said, so what is the language that we talk? I said,
It's actually American.
we speak, well, for us, we are
Yeah,
told
right,
it's English
right.
because it comes from England.
Right,
Yeah, it's
right.
American
So-
English, yeah.
It's American English.
So she said, oh, okay, then I can get that then. So
I'll let you buy that for me.
Really
Yeah.
quickly, what I want to do is ask people to call in because I'm
Yes.
sitting here going over social media and what's happening is on Facebook, and a lot of people don't know that different groups. So you can go in one group and they're chatting, you can go into another group and they're chatting. So I was trying to find where Mama C was because
Let's put the
her.
number out there then. 888-304-4401.
And I found her on another chat room. And I'm like, oh, there she is. So when you're watching us on Facebook or social media, there are different rooms going on with different stuff. So
Right.
sometimes we
That's
miss you.
spectacular.
Yeah,
Okay.
we miss what
So
you're
if
saying.
you call in and 888-304-4401, you can talk to us. And then we do apologize if we're not in the chat room and you don't see us responding. But again, if you're looking
There's
at
so
us
many
on
chats,
Facebook, there's
yeah.
so many chats going on. There's so many groups going on that you don't always catch everything that everybody's saying.
Right.
And I was actually surfing around because I'm like, well, Mama C, why are you not on? And she was in another group.
Mama C, hello, Mama C. We know you're always on. But again, back to Tiffany's point, I agree. I think we miss sometimes conversations that are being had, questions that are being asked,
Correct.
dialogue that's being had, so that we can also engage in those type of discussions. 888-304-4401. Make sure that you are engaging with us. Call in. We will hit that speaker button and get you on live. So please do call in if you have any questions, comments, anything of that. There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
That's a
See?
strong diversity right there.
And that's the whole thing. Like, I mean, I know with you, Melissa. Oh, and we got a caller already. And guess who it is? We got a caller coming in. Hello, this is the Sistahship. Who do we have on?
This is Mama C, since y'all call my name.
Mama C, how are you?
I'm loving the dialogue, and I'm going to give a big hug and kiss to Melissa because I haven't seen her for a while, and so I got to get over to We Shares and get my sister hug.
That's right. That's
But
right.
I wanted to say, one of the things that most people don't understand is that love is our natural nature. And if you watch children, they love
Yes.
everybody.
Yes.
They hug everybody. They, they're happy, and they don't distinguish between color, what color or race you are. And because people don't understand that love is our natural nature, they go against that. And so what happens is it creates a whole lot of chaos in their own lives. And they need to understand that until they get back to loving one another naturally. Now, there are people I can't love, I don't love up close and personal because they're too toxic. Whatever the issues are in their lives, I'm not going to be the scapegoat or the
Right.
sacrificial lamb that they beat up on because their sense of hatred and a lack of desire to be diverse is so deeply rooted within the garden of their souls that there's nothing, you know what, if they're not going to listen to God, they're not going to listen to me. And that mean-spirited energy is contagious because there are people, if you stay around them too long, make you want to slap the bejesus out of them. What I do is once I recognize what I'm dealing with, and that's so important that we all use our natural God-given senses to understand the who, what, when, where, why, and how to's of interacting as human beings.
So, Mama C, hold that thought because the phone is
The phone is going crazy right
so
now.
we need to grab another call and we'll get back to you.
I don't say what I had to say. Y'all answer the call.
Okay.
Love you.
Fire.
All right.
We on a
We
sister
on
ship.
Sistahship. Who do we have on? Hello, caller.
Caller, hello.
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 Hi, how are you?
Turn the background down.
Did
I
we
think
lose
we
her?
lost you. Give us a call back.
Hello.
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 Hello. Who do we have on? This is the Sistahship.
Hi.
Hello.
Are you recording right now?
Absolutely.
We are
We on
live
a
on the
sister ship.
Okay. Well, my name is Raven, and I am a fellow radio talk show host, and Mama C invited me.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome. So what comments and questions do you have for the Sistahship?
And let us know how impressed you are with us.
Yes.
Well, I am very impressed.
Nice.
Divine.
Nice.
Divine.
And I like the topic
Thank you.
because what happens when you have a mother that is extremely fair-skinned? My mother was extremely fair-skinned, and people thought that she was Puerto Rican. And I had a woman, I can say her name, Miss Coco, said that my mother was Puerto Rican. And I'm like, my mom is not Puerto Rican. And one day we went up the elevator, and she approached my mom, and she said, "Is you a Puerto Rican?" And I'm like, going to correct her, and my mom said, "See," because she didn't want to argue with the woman, because you can't fight ignorance with ignorance.
Right, and I can relate to you, because with Mama C, when I was growing up, that's all I got. Your mother's Puerto Rican? What's your mother? She's Spanish?
Yeah, and I'm like,
yeah, your mother's yellow. What is she?
Yeah, your mother's high yellow.
So I can relate to that.
But that goes back to your point that you're making, is that, again, forget about color. Like, people are still, even if you're black and you're light skinned, people will look at you and think you're Puerto Rican.
They want to have something.
Or they, you know what I'm saying? So they like, a white person, you would never, maybe some people know I'm Italian. Some people have said I was Puerto Rican. Some people have called me all type of stuff, and it, again, color does not necessarily mean it is your culture. Different.
Exactly.
So.
Because I am a combination of things. My mother is Native American. And there's more than the Cherokee. Everybody is Cherokee, but my mother was black.
Well, we thank you.
And my father, he was half West Indian and half black.
Goes back to the percentage I was always talking about.
I have a crazy salad in my bloodline, and I've never questioned it until adults.
Right. What's natural to us? What's natural to us growing up is not pointed out as something different until an adult points it out. My family, like I said, my family is this rainbow tribe here, and we are the forerunners of this transracial, mixed racial family here in Monroe County. And there are more families like us now than there were 30 years ago. And I had to research and find other families to point to my children to say, hey, there are lots of people who look just like us.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until...
Don't forget the recessive genes.
Yes.
Yeah, and it wasn't until adults started to point out the differences as opposed to the similarities and the commonalities between us. Our children have no problem making friends in school nowadays. And like I said, you now have little children that are seeing things on TV that are showing them.
We have another call coming in.
Okay,
I'm sorry. We have another call coming in. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate you. Keep listening to the Sistahship. Thank you. We got so many calls coming in. Hello.
We on a Sistahship.
It's Kalima. How are you guys?
Oh my God, Kalima. Oh my God, we're getting so many calls. I love y'all, ladies and gentlemen out there. If you're calling in, keep calling. We're going from call to call. We're trying to get as many people as we can get in. So I apologize if we have to cut any conversation short. We're trying to cycle through these calls. Kalima, what you got for us, honey?
So I kind of want to piggyback off something Sherry said, but before I do, I kind of want to mention my son was like in kindergarten, and one day he was trying to tell me about a student in the class, and I kind of said to him, well, what's the person's ethnic or something like that? He was like, they're tan, and it was kind of funny to me because my son didn't understand color, but I kind of like that because I never put those stipulations on him.
Right.
So I just let him freely just talk about the guy. I just thought it was so cute. And he was the person just tan, and that's it. Like he didn't know color because we really didn't do that in my household.
Right.
But Shirley, I love what you said about the fact how you didn't teach your kids and how you taught them how to identify, like, the person with the glasses. And you said, well, color were the glasses. And when I think about stuff like that, and because there's a lot of information going on, I'm like, I believe there should be a program enforced like that, like to teach kids to identify other students by or other people by what they may have on or what the color they hair may be instead of color of their skin.
They're doing that
And that
now.
was just my comment.
They're doing that now.
Thank you, Lady K.
That is what's going on
Appreciate
in
you.
schools now. I mean, they have children now. I mean, there are the commercials that you can see of the two little children who say, you know, look, we're twins because we have on the same shirt. And the children are absolutely diversely different,
Mhm.
but they believe they're twins because they have on the same shirt. And that's where we're coming from now. Like I said, in the 40s, it was very different. In the 60s, I mean, there were, you know, I mean, I remember, you know, the race riots here,
Yeah.
here in the
Mhm.
United States, the Black Panthers, you know, and things like that. I grew up in a very mixed culture. My father, God bless his soul, in New Brunswick, New Jersey, had the first Black man who was the manager of his business. My uncle. I mean, I grew up with my uncles were all Black. At my bat mitzvah in the synagogue, I had, you know, 5 or 6, 8, whatever, you know, my uncles there. That was the first time in that synagogue there were, you know, like people of color in the synagogue, in the one that I belong to, as far as that goes. And so when, you know, 30 years ago, as foster family, when we were offered our boys, I said, okay, just send them. And the caseworker kept saying, you know, they're Black. And I kept saying, yeah, and? No, they're Black. Well, I got it. You know, and, you know, we were talking earlier, that was so frowned upon. I mean, interracial marriages were frowned upon. Interracial dating was frowned upon. There were laws. I mean, as we all know, the history here in the United States, there were laws against things like that. And as things continue to progress, either through passivity or through activity, you know, we're getting closer and closer to a unified front. But there's still so much work to be done.
Absolutely.
Truly, there's just more work. You know, it's a hope that within the next several generations, that there won't be any ideology at all towards you know, race, towards your ethnicity, towards your sexual orientation. You know, this is the new thing now. The LGBTQ, you know, trans, you know, population are looking for a niche, just like people who, you know, who are people of color who are looking for a niche. You know, here in the United States, our school districts are now, you know, much more diverse than they used to be. You know, with people moving in, and you know, like Sherry was saying, you know, about you know, culturally, you've got, you know, city people, you know, who are moving up here in the Poconos, and you've got, you know, those who've been here for either by birth or, you know, 40 some odd years. The culture is different. All over the United States, you have different cultures, not necessarily colors and ethnic backgrounds, but cultures depending on your geographic location. And that's where the differences, you know, can be blended in to the next culture that you relocate to.
I mean, you make a good point. The one thing I don't want to discount is your cultural history, right? Because I think it's important, especially for children who are multicultural.
They need to know where they come from.
They need to know where they come from as well, right? So educating them doesn't mean only saying, you know, we want to identify differently than we have in the past, but also understanding where you come from so that people understand the different cultures and how we are melting and respect each other, right? Because of those differences. You know, we know in school growing up, somebody's got glasses on, somebody doesn't, they're going to poke fun at somebody who's got glasses. So just imagine, this is not, to your point earlier, this is not just about race or just about it's the differences and the diversity in people, and we need to educate everyone on that.
I think that sometimes people forget that it is the differences that make us such a unique. The community is so unique where we live. It's funny because I was talking to my sister this morning, and I was like, "Oh man, I forgot to go to the store." She said, "Why?" And I said, because I was going to get all this different color sand and put it in a bottle. and let you see what that creates. Like the beauty of mixing things. My granddaughter's learning to mix colors. She wants to learn different languages. But if you put pink and white, pink and red, you get pink. I mean,
Red and white.
red and
Yep.
white, you get pink. You get the different colors when you mix them up. But different cultures, it's the beauty of your culture that I may not have known anything different than what I've learned
But
by
that's
being there.
right. But the learning is now, it's being presented that way all over. Like I said, TV commercials, books, Facebook, different things. I mean, there's always, there's on Facebook has, the hands that go all around, all different shades of skin. Makeup companies no longer just have a skin tone called flesh, as far as that goes.
What is that? What is flesh? That was supposed to be way back when.
Way back. I'm the oldest one here. I mean, I can remember trying to get things here in the Poconos 30 years ago, for my children. I had to go to Philadelphia. I had to go to New York. When the first ethnic hair care store opened up here in the Poconos, I was so excited. I walked in the store. I knew exactly what I needed. I needed a 2B. I needed,
A 1B,
what-
a
yeah,
2B.
yeah,
Well, she know the colors.
the colors because I'm weaving hair into my daughter who came to me with very, very little hair, what they used to call kitchen hair, kind of thing that she had. So
I never heard that, but
yeah. So that I'll explain to you. So that's what
Kitchen hair,
So,
really?
wow.
The kitchen, and this is a kitchen.
Well, I get, now that you say that, now I know exactly what that
So,
meant.
and I walk in there and the proprietors are looking at me like, why does this woman know what she's talking about? Kind of thing.
Yeah, why should you?
And why should I? And the thing is that all the years that we're doing foster care and adoption, like I said, 35 years ago, I started a program here in Pennsylvania at the adoption conferences and the foster care conferences to try to educate white women when they were taking care of ethnic identified children. And I still get phone calls from people, which is a good thing because I want people to ask. I want them to understand. I want them to learn. Not everyone is to be treated the same, but everyone is to be treated fairly, right? And to be treated according to what their needs, so that their needs are met.
Absolutely.
As far as that goes. And we now have, like I said, churches and mosques and synagogues and schools and library boards and programs such as We Share, where it is culturally diverse and people are bringing their identities with them to share. Not to show that it's something far superior, but to share for education. We're going in the right direction.
Yeah, we definitely.
We're really going in the right direction. It's still going to take several generations, to get it through. And we're only talking about our own area or the United States. Europe is far beyond the United States.
Europe, you actually make a good point because when my husband's Black in case anybody didn't know, when my husband and I go with my parents to Italy, there's never a stare.
Right. Nobody looks twice. Right.
Questions, has disgust look in their face or anything of that.
The Scandinavian countries were far ahead, far ahead of Europe as far as that goes. And you're right. Nobody looks.
Nobody looks.
It doesn't matter. They just want to know: are you a good person?
Yeah.
Are you a mensch? Are you a fine human being? Can you contribute to society? That's all they want to know. And Sherry and all of us here raising children, all we want for our children is for them to be able to have a positive contribution to society,
Right.
to make something of themselves,
Right.
and to keep that going for the next generation. Your granddaughter, my grandchildren, we want them to keep that going.
Along with the generational wealth.
Yeah.
And
Generation.
making sure that they can pass everything along to their children
Yeah,
and keep
absolutely.
it going. Because we always ask the question really quick. We always ask the question, well, how can we change it?
How
How
can we
can we change?
Right.
Because we're always talking about the topic. We're always talking about interracial, black, white, and it's not a black and white thing. But I
Right.
think the best way for us to go about it is doing what we're doing right now,
Conversation.
which is the conversation,
Right.
which is we shares, which is the sistership, and we continue to go forward because we're going to have a lot of people who come at us and they want, wait a minute, the negative part.
Oh, come
But
at us a lot.
all the time, but all we can do is just keep pushing forward.
Right.
But what we are doing now, stronger together, I always say that, stronger
Right.
together, so that we can show, look, this is really what we want. So, okay, it's not black and it's not white. We're tired of talking about it. We need you to change.
Yeah.
If you're going to continue to talk to me about it, I don't want to hear it. What are you going to do to
To
help?
help.
Either you're going to get
Address.
in
Yep.
down and
Be support-
dirty,
be
or you're
supportive.
going to shut up.
Yeah.
Be supportive.
And let's be clear. People's preferences are their preferences,
Mhm.
right? And there's nothing wrong in having a preference in what you
Mhm.
want in your life. But to now push your preferences on others who are
Correct.
don't
Impose
agree
them.
and
Yeah.
impose
Right.
on
Mhm.
others, that's where we kind of lose the battle, right?
Mhm.
And how we need to just allow people to be who they are and to want what they want and to
Correct.
love who they love and to engage their children in a different light so that we're not constantly fighting one another, because this is exactly the divisiveness this country we inherited from this country, right? Because again, when you think about Europe and other countries, it's not what you see
there.
here. So again, we just need to make sure that, to your point, when we talk about the Sistahship network as well, and how we try to heal one another and how we try to heal others, and we try to work together with everyone, diverse
And
and
educate.
educate, diverse backgrounds, educate everyone. And Melissa, I know with We Share, and I know you have a very diverse family, and I want you to kind of speak to that as well. We just have to learn to be human.
To be human.
To be human.
Accept
And
it.
accept
it.
And accept the differences. It's okay.
And what I want
It's
to
okay.
say to that is, when we first started the sistership, we got a lot of pushback because at first the cast was all black. So we heard they're too black, they're too this, but nobody even gave it the opportunity to see what we were doing. They just saw a room of black women. And
Noble.
I would get phone calls about it. And I said, no, because the cast is black does not mean that we're not diverse, because there are a lot of people who will continue to come on the show. But can you give us the chance to do what we do first before you start with the negative comments? So we progressed past that. But it was hurtful trying to figure it out, and you're sitting here and you're like, yeah, really?
But you
But
did
if the
see what
cast was
bothers me.
white, it would
be that, but the problem is, again, is that it was still women. Women issues. Yes, could there be differences depending on your background, your race, your ethnicity, whatever have you? Yes, but at the same token, we were still all women. And women issues are everybody's issues, right? So I think that's where, once again, we get lost in translation when we look. And, it was funny yesterday. I said to myself, close your eyes for a minute. Close your eyes for a minute. Anybody who's out there right now, close your eyes for a minute. You must feel the person that you are trying to bring into your life, right?
Okay.
It shouldn't. If you were blind. Okay, a blind person doesn't see color. They feel with their heart. They listen with their ears. They touch with their hands. They smell with their nose. They don't see what's in front of them, right? So at the end of the day, if they get involved with somebody, and I'm not going to put a color to it, they don't know unless someone tells them. Because guess what? Love is what you feel, what you take in, what you're breathing, the sense, all the sensory systems, right? And you're not looking at it from a color perspective. And I actually physically did that to myself yesterday, because I kept thinking about this subject and the topic that we're talking about. And I said, if I closed my eyes and saw nothing in front of me, what is it that makes me want to be with a person?
And that's, like I said, that's what this generation is doing. They really are. If you listen carefully to, like I said, to Sherry's granddaughter, to my grandchildren, to your children, if you listen to them, that's what they are doing. And
They are.
They are. They're not closing their eyes literally, but what they're doing is they're just not seeing things in the same light that we did until someone points it out. And then when someone points it out to them, they most of the time, it's been my experience, they look at that person, they say, yeah, and?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And
like I said, so there's a difference, but there's a difference between someone's right-handed and left-handed.
Absolutely,
Gee, I wonder
absolutely.
I wonder what kind of, child will have it. Will they be right-handed or left-handed? Nobody's going to say, will they be, dark-skinned, light-skinned. DNA now, with, like you said, with the testing that they're doing, people are finding that they're not one thing or the other. And I think they're more startled by that conglomeration and mixture of everything that they are. And it completely blows up their egotistical, idea of who they are.
yeah.
And that's, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and again, you don't want to discount. Again, we do see color, right? Let's call it what it is. It's human nature. You're going to see color.
It's our human nature.
It's our human nature, right? So, but I bring the point of just the human element and the feeling, because I think it's important for people to understand. Once again, when you're looking, and I don't want to say looking with the eyes, but when you're actually feeling something, hearing something, tasting something, smelling something, you don't use color as a measure, right? So, not as a measure, right? So I think that's where we need to come from. So, and Melissa, I know she talked about We Share, but she's got a very diverse background as well, and I want her to speak up on kind of.
So, I've been multiracial, and I have been exposed to people when I was younger, picking on me, calling me names. My mother, she's Jewish, she's Ethiopian, and she's Asian.
Wow.
So she comes from a diverse background. And then my dad, who's Italian and Japanese.
Your dad's Italian?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He's mixed with his own batch of
All
stuff.
right, there you go.
So it's like when I had to go to school, and my mom, who's dark skinned, she comes to school and I get picked on. Nobody understood that was my mother. That couldn't be your mother. She told me a story when I was born, when I was in the hospital with her, and how they told her that I couldn't be her daughter.
Yeah.
Because of the color that I came out. And it's like there's a lot of barriers that people create, and a lot of ignorance people create those barriers and those dislikes and those false type of pretenses that need to be erased and rethought of. But they're unhealthy patterns that people are doing right now to each other. And to speak on when you were speaking, Sherry, about just even the COVID, the unvaccinated, vaccinated, that creates a undertone there for people to become haters to the unvaccinated or the vaccinated becoming haters.
Because even now, when you walk in a store, you get people that say,
people look at you
like, why you don't have one of
like
them?
they're giving you the look. So it can be that kind of thinking is very toxic, and it could be brought up in any type of way, and we need to stop eliminate that and think from a soul perspective. If we have our bodies here, what do you have? A soul that is, you can't see, it's transparent, but it's there. And can we connect on that level instead of a level of just, oh, I don't like this plate, this is orange, or
Right, there's certain colors I don't like.
Human beings have, like you said, people have likes, dislikes, preferences,
Right.
like you said before. And all of those things lend themselves to the environment that you're creating for yourselves. However, like I said, this next generation has its own attitudes, its own identities, its own preferences, its own likes and dislikes that may or may not be the same or even just jive with their parents as far as that goes. And we're stuck with allowing our children to grow up and to leave home, and then they they have to make decisions all by themselves. They can call for advice. You know, Khalil Gibran in his book, The Prophet, you know, the chapter on children talks about that you can be the, you know, the bow that you're shooting your arrow, you know, the children into the world, but the children are going to find their own way. And if in fact it's different than yours, you can either accept it or reject it. But what you're doing is you're accepting or rejecting the child that you raised.
Yeah.
Well, what's driving this big change is you have social media.
Oh,
Right.
Like there's more influence from outside sources versus we didn't have that when we were growing up.
Right.
Right.
A whole diverse network of
that's-
phones and
right,
you
and
can
that's
look
what I
up
was saying.
stuff.
Television and commercials now, I point out all the time now on commercials on TV that they're now incorporating LGBTQ, you know, families in commercials.
Yep.
We just went to see a Disney movie, and my 15-year-old daughter said, "Oh, you know, the reason why, you know, so and so didn't accept the proposal of marriage was because he was in love with another." And the nuance there was such that if you heard, you know, she picked it up immediately, you know, that this character, you know, was not interested in marrying a woman, had a love for an other person, and that the only member of his family who accepted him was just, you know, an older sister that he had. But I mean, it was terrific how it was portrayed in Disney. Disney also was the first national and international production company that had princesses that were not lily white. And that was specifically for children.
Yeah.
And so we are teaching, we are training, and you're right, Melissa, social media is what's going to make the biggest difference in our world.
And because parents now, if you look at our parents and the parents before that, they're kind of like fighting against everything. They're like, that's taboo, that's
wrong.
this, you can't do that because they were brought up in a certain
In a
era
certain
and a certain way, and they don't understand that now we are, you know, being influenced by, we can look up certain things and know if this is true or not, or if this was something that happened, and why you shouldn't think that way because this is what happened. Like there's a lot of things now coming to the surface information wise and being put out there for everybody to look at it
And
anytime.
our children are challenging us. on
And
all
they
of that.
challenge
absolutely.
that now.
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely. And we saw this over the course, and I have to agree with you. When we saw this, you know, I don't want to keep bringing it up, but you know, when we think about what happened with George Floyd, right?
Absolutely.
Think about the protests that occurred. You had a very more diverse than we've seen
Yes.
Anywhere, for any
in a
generation.
very, very, very long time. I mean, and my husband and I talked about that. It's like, look at this. This is the younger generation
It
coming
is.
out and speaking out and saying,
Enough is enough.
enough is enough.
Listen, Woodstock, you know,
Go back to Woodstock.
you know,
Teenager wisdom.
yeah, you know, I mean, you know, Woodstock also was one of the first, you know, non-organized, you know, cultural events, and no one was interested what you were, just that you were a good person. You came to hang, you came to listen to the music, smoke a little pot. And, and just enjoy the music. And that's really what's happening. I mean, people are coming together just because they're coming together.
But I also believe that people are being mindful. I mean, let's just keep it real. We're all sitting at this table. At some point, we have been conditioned. We've all been conditioned to certain things, right? I think we just have to be conscious of when we are thinking negative.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'll say with Melissa, we were all at a meeting, right? And she was talking about being multiracial, and she said, "I'm Orthodox Jew." And because of my conditioning, she's black. Right? And then I had to back off and say, wait a minute, that's the stinking thinking right there that we have to be mindful of so that we can move for it. But because we've been conditioned
Conditioned to
and
look
we
at
all
people
have
from
those we all have it in us that sometimes we challenge our own selves at what we're thinking because of how we've been conditioned, right? So sometimes I have to stop myself and say, no, that's wrong. Or even you brought up about the parents, right? The way my daughter does things, I might not necessarily agree with them, but it's changing. So we have to be mindful that the world does change. So my mom probably doesn't agree with some of the stuff that I do, but it's changed. So now I'm like, oh, damn, I think I'm turning into Mama C. Because when my kid is doing something, I'm like, why is she doing that? You know, are you really kidding me?
Yeah.
But realizing that that's how the world is evolving, and that's how kids are evolving. That's why we had all those people come out for George Floyd, because they're like, okay, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Right.
So
And
when we
that's-
start thinking,
Yep.
we have to bring ourselves back to why we're doing this, right?
And we got to understand that's the powers that be.
And when
And
you
everybody
say,
knows that that's
Mhm.
creating this divisiveness that we continue to perpetuate. And I'm not saying we personally
Mhm.
continue to perpetuate. And if we don't stop it,
Mhm.
don't stop it, it's going to continue.
Our
Mhm.
children are not going to allow
Nope,
us
they
to
won't.
continue to perpetuate it.
Mhm.
They're just not.
Right.
They want a different world than what
What
we
we
have
saw.
presented to them. Just like in the 60s, we wanted a completely different world that we had grown up in. And, you know, that's where that revolution was. And every generation or so brings a revolution
Yeah.
to its culture nationwide. It may not be as evident, you know, in different places here in the United States as it might be in more, citified type areas, but it's changing. You know, we have many more, let's say, vegetarians and vegans, you know, than we certainly did years ago. There's much more available now than there was, and menus on national restaurant chains now have those types of things, and they would never have considered that 10 years ago.
and this is why a good leader knows when to lean back, because of evolution. You need to let the next generation bring forth
Absolutely.
what is going on, right?
Absolutely.
And what happens is a lot of people try to hold on, and they want to hold on. You got all the old ones, they want to old heads, they want to hold on. They want to hold on tight, and they don't want to let the next generation, right, do what they do.
I can't work hard. I can't work hard.
So they're like, hold on. And then the next generation's like, no, we're not doing it this way.
I think that's different. So I was just looking at, let me just take the focus.
Take
on
the
that
focus.
right now.
Take it, Sherry.
So-
But I'll tell you, we got a couple minutes left. Go ahead. She can't even do it no more.
The cultural difference.
No, I gotta bring it
All right,
down.
okay, that's
She
it.
said that, so let me piggyback and let me answer to her. We as a different generation,
Mhm,
we have to learn balance
Mhm.
True.
and letting go.
mhm,
We have to teach balance in the differences culturally.
Right.
When I was growing up, and this is the way I raised my kids, same way. What my mother put on the table is what we ate, what did not eat.
Lord.
mhm,
Today, you have these young parents
mhm,
that will get up and make 3 or 4 different things
Mm.
for each of the kids.
mhm.
Is that cultural, or is that bad parenting or different parenting? Because sometimes we try as parents, I know me as a parent, I sometimes try to tell my kids certain things, right? And then I have to hear, but this is a different time. This is a different age. You can't do it this way. But as a parent that feel like I was successful at parenting, say exactly that. But I raised you.
Mhm.
And in the process of me raising you and teaching you, not only did my son learn how to cook and clean, but my daughters learned how to cook and clean and survive and do independence. All of my children have worked since they were 13 years old.
Mhm.
All of them are college graduates now. All of them are my son will soon be a parent, but they'll all be parents. They are educated, they are productive human beings. So sometimes as a parent or a grandparent, I want my children to take my lead.
Mhm.
Like I led, and now I want you to see what I did and see if because it worked for you,
They'll
Right,
modify
right.
it.
that you could just
Right.
adjust it to you,
Right.
Modify it,
not
adjust.
necessarily do exactly what I did, but do
Right.
what works for you because you know your children.
And respect that.
The essence of the lesson. That's what it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we are literally, I think we're
3:30.
this was a great conversation. I
Mhm.
loved this dialogue. I thank you all.
You say what?
We are up out of here now. So with that said, I want to thank Marcy here, amazing, the Queenager. We have Tiffany Copeling, we have Lady Wisdom, Melissa Reed, Joe Collier, Gynesis Radio, the Sistahship Network. We want to thank you all for joining us today. We are on every Sunday from 2 to 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. The first Sunday of the month is the Brothership. So please make sure you join in. And also the last Friday of each month, we have Queenager Wisdom at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you will hear Mama C and Cassandra Mack. Is that correct?
Cassandra Mack is another person that's in the group.
Another
But we
person
also
that's in the
have Miss C.
Miss C.
So
Miss
it's
C.
Mama C and Miss C.
And Miss C.
Right? Joan is gonna tell us better than we tell our own selves, right? So no, you got that wrong. It is Miss
So
C.
anyway, with that said, I want to thank y'all for joining us today. Again, love is love. Let's open our eyes. Let's open our hearts. Let's, again, stop turning the blinders on here.
Absolutely.
And let's make sure that we
Share
share
the goodness of ourselves.
share the goodness of ourselves and the diversity of ourselves. It's okay to be different,
Yes.
but let's
right.
love one
That's
another
right.
as well.
And I think we have to continue this on with like a part 3.
Oh, I think we need to
Because
continue.
Marcy had something about that you didn't even get a chance to read.
I know.
And we need to talk about
We
it
need
as
to
well.
talk
But
about that.
we're on the
We're
Sistahship.
on the Sistahship. Where's our music? Let's
We on
go.
the Sistahship. Come with us.
We on the Sistahship. Oh, yeah, we on the Sistahship. Come with us. We on the Sistahship.
Okay.
There it is. We love y'all.
Yeah,
We on the Sistahship.
Come with us. We on the Sistahship. Yeah, we on